Did I tell you that story?
Yes, tell it again.
Okay. The story of the doves is I had broken up with somebody.
Who?
I don't want to say.
Do we know the person?
Maybe.
Jennifer Lopez might be facing the ghosts of her past relationships as new allegations emerge against her ex, Diddy. Over 20 years ago, J-Lo and P. Diddy were one of Hollywood's power couples, but their romance ended after 2 years. In her recent documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, J-Lo reflects on her experiences with past abusive relationships, though she doesn't specifically mention if Sean Combs mistreated her. However, there's a possibility that she could testify about any violence he may have displayed and his interactions with other artists. J-Lo also opens up about the struggles she faced during her relationship with Diddy, revealing that his attraction to men played a significant role in their breakup. Here is breaking down the tumultuous 2-year relationship between J-Lo and Diddy in the early 2000s. Jennifer Lopez, known as J-Lo or Jenny from the Block, was Diddy's girlfriend from 1999 to 2001. Recently, she has been mentioned in a lawsuit connected to a nightclub shooting in New York from 1999. According to the court documents, it states that Diddy's RICO enterprise has existed for at least 20 years, dating back to the 1999 nightclub shooting in NYC when Mr. Combs allegedly asked his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez to transport his illegal firearm into the club. To delve into this allegation and examine the nature of J-Lo's relationship with Diddy, former prosecutor Melba Pearson provided insight. She described their relationship as tumultuous, noting that they were the prominent couple of the late 90s and early 2000s. Pearson emphasized that both were music moguls during that time. J-Lo was rising to fame, while Diddy was already well established in the R&B and hip-hop scene. They were definitely the couple everyone talked about, much like Ben Affleck and J-Lo today, even if I wouldn't call them the it couple right now. Their photos were everywhere, especially with the rise of social media. There was a lot of press and excitement surrounding their relationship. To truly understand their connection, it's essential to go back to the late 90s when J-Lo had just finished filming the hit movie Selena. At that time, she was working on her debut album On the 6th. Diddy was brought on board to co-write and produce a track for the album called Feeling So Good. Their professional collaboration quickly blossomed into a romantic relationship. The first public appearance of the couple came in September 1999 at the MTV Music Video Awards, where J-Lo was nominated for Best Female Video. Diddy was also recognized during the award season, receiving nominations for Best New Artist, Best Pop Video, and Best Dance Video. However, it was the following year that Jennifer Lopez truly captured the world's attention, before breaking the internet was even a phrase, by wearing a stunning green dress to the Grammys, and her date for the evening was none other than P. Diddy. The relationship with Diddy undoubtedly enhanced J-Lo's brand. Their appearances together, particularly on the red carpet, made a significant impact. The iconic green Versace dress she wore to that awards show remains memorable. However, J-Lo's legal troubles with Diddy trace back to 1999, as outlined by Lil Rod in his lawsuit. He alleged that she carried Diddy's illegal weapon, which was involved in a nightclub shooting. Reports suggest that a dispute broke out at the club, leading to the violent incident. Lil Rod is now alleging that Jennifer Lopez brought a firearm into the club in her purse and then handed it off to either Diddy, Shine, or the person who actually carried out the shooting. According to Lil Rod, Diddy, also known as Puff Daddy or Sean Combs, confessed to him that he was the one who fired the weapon. However, the legal proceedings played out differently in 1999. At that time, J-Lo, Diddy, and Shine were all arrested following the incident. J-Lo's charges were dropped almost immediately, but Diddy and Shine faced a trial. While Diddy was acquitted, Shine was not so fortunate. He was convicted on weapons charges and reckless endangerment, leading to a prison sentence. Given these developments, it's understandable that Shine might feel frustrated, especially if evidence has emerged that could have potentially cleared him. There is speculation about whether he will pursue legal avenues in light of Diddy's alleged confession, or if he will simply move on, thinking, "I did my time, it's all in the past." Moving forward, it will be interesting to see how this alleged confession plays out and what implications it may have. Reports indicate that after the shooting, Diddy and J-Lo attempted to escape the scene in an SUV, running nearly a dozen red lights in their effort to evade the police. They were eventually arrested on a weapons possession charge, with J-Lo spending about 12 hours in jail before her charges were dropped. Despite the arrest, her legal troubles from that night came to an end shortly thereafter. Fast forward 25 years, and new allegations have emerged, suggesting that Jennifer Lopez was involved in bringing an illegal firearm into the nightclub during the infamous incident. This raises the question, could she potentially face charges now, or would the statute of limitations prevent that? Legal experts agree that the statute of limitations would likely pose no issue in this case, as it has long expired after 25 years. Typically, statutes of limitations range from 3 to 7 years for most charges. The only exception is murder, which is not relevant here. Therefore, it seems highly improbable that J-Lo would face any criminal liability for allegedly bringing a gun to the nightclub that night. While there might be a slight possibility for civil action, experts consider that to be a tenuous prospect at best. As such, it appears unlikely that J-Lo will face any legal consequences stemming from her alleged involvement in the 1999 shooting. Even if the charges against her had been pursued, former prosecutor Melba Pearson notes that it's doubtful J-Lo would have served any time if convicted. The question remains, how long could she have potentially spent behind bars, and what would that scenario have looked like? The potential charges Jennifer Lopez might have faced depend largely on the specifics of the situation. If the allegation was simply illegal possession of a firearm or carrying a concealed weapon, that would have been classified as a misdemeanor at the time, possibly resulting in a maximum sentence of 1 year in jail. However, if she were charged with a more serious role in the incident, such as threatening someone or actively participating by pointing the gun and handing it to Diddy, the situation would change dramatically. That could fall under aggravated assault with a firearm, which carries a minimum sentence of 3 years and could result in up to 15 years in prison. Ultimately, the nuances of what she was alleged to have done would dictate the charges. Simply carrying the firearm, especially if it wasn't registered to her and she lacked a concealed weapons permit, could lead to legal trouble. In 1999, laws were different, and there were no permitless carry laws like those seen in Florida today. Nevertheless, given that J-Lo had no prior criminal history, it's likely she would have secured top-notch defense attorneys. Experts agree that there wasn't a scenario in which she would have ended up serving prison time for those charges. Since the late 90s and her arrest, Jennifer Lopez has undergone a significant transformation. Back then, she was more Jenny from the block, heavily embracing her Bronx roots and her ties to the hip-hop scene. She was attending events like the Source Awards, dating hip-hop artists, and actively aligning herself with that world. Her image was deeply connected to her upbringing in the Bronx and the gritty, streetwise persona she presented. Fast forward 25 years, and J-Lo's life and career have evolved in dramatic ways. Now she's married to Ben Affleck, runs her own health and beauty lines, and is involved in various ventures that reflect a more polished, entrepreneurial side. While she occasionally still acknowledges her Bronx roots, the Jenny from the block vibe has noticeably softened. Her current public image is far more about glamour, business, and maintaining a refined personal brand than it is about her earlier affiliations with hip-hop culture. In many ways, the difference between who she was in the late 90s and early 2000s and who she is now is stark. Not only has her career shifted, but her personality and relationships have also evolved. So how could these resurfaced allegations affect Jennifer Lopez's reputation today? Given that these events took place 25 years ago, it's important to consider the passage of time. People evolve, and society tends to allow room for personal growth and change. J-Lo, like anyone else, has had the chance to grow, improve, and steer her life in a different direction since then. While these revelations might cause a temporary stir and prompt conversations, they likely won't cause long-term harm to her brand. Questions may arise about how much she knew back then, whether she was aware of Diddy's actions or if she turned a blind eye to certain behaviors. There were already some whispers at the time about their relationship, with J-Lo hinting in interviews that Diddy was controlling and unfaithful. That relationship was clearly toxic, and she's acknowledged some of those issues in the past. Jennifer Lopez had stayed quiet about her high-profile relationship with Sean Combs for years, but she's finally opening up, and it turns out the experience was just as tough as many had imagined. Although their relationship only lasted about 18 months, it was one of the most difficult periods of her life. For the first time, Lopez is shedding light on the reality of her time with Diddy and how she eventually found the strength to walk away. It was the first time I was with someone who wasn't faithful. I was in this relationship with Puff where I was totally crying, crazy, and going nuts. It really took my whole life in a tailspin because of how bad things had gotten, she admitted. She described how she couldn't stop searching for Diddy, always fearing she'd catch him cheating. The constant anxiety of suspecting someone you love might be lying to you was unbearable, especially when she feared he was involved with others. Lopez shared how she would go so far as banging on hotel room doors looking for him. I can't remember if I ever caught him, but I knew. He'd say he was going to a club for a couple of hours and then never come back that night. This turmoil led Lopez to a crucial realization. She knew she didn't want a future where she'd be left at home, wondering where her partner was in the middle of the night. I had to think, do I want to be home with kids in 10 years wondering where somebody is at 3 in the morning? That moment of clarity helped her see the relationship for what it truly was. A toxic situation that would only drag her down further. The separation between Jennifer Lopez and Sean Diddy Combs became inevitable after one particularly intense night out. While the two were partying, Diddy got into an argument with another club-goer. Security tried to step in and de-escalate the situation, but it quickly spiraled out of control, and shots were fired. According to court documents, 3 people were injured during the incident. Diddy had been trading insults with a man named Scar, who allegedly threw money in Diddy's face, sparking a fight that led to gunfire. 2 men were shot in the shoulders, and a woman was hit in the face as she left the club. In the chaos, Diddy pulled Jennifer by the hand, leading her out of the club. It seemed he wasn't fleeing a crime scene, but trying to escape what he likely thought was a life-threatening situation. When police stopped the Mercedes Diddy was driving, they found a revolver on the seat near Jennifer's feet. Both of them were arrested for possession of an illegal firearm. Jennifer spent 14 hours at the police station, shackled to a bench. An officer on duty described how distraught she was, saying, "Jennifer was a complete mess. Nobody wants to be arrested, and it was obviously a traumatic experience for her. She was crying and just upset by the whole situation." Thankfully, there wasn't any evidence tying her to the gun, and she was released after 14 hours, but the ordeal left her deeply shaken. Diddy, on the other hand, spent several days in jail. The incident threw their relationship into the spotlight in a way neither of them had anticipated. Under the weight of the media's constant scrutiny and the strain of the tragic event, their seemingly perfect relationship began to unravel, and Jennifer found herself caught in a situation that was spiraling out of her control. Jennifer Lopez loved Sean Diddy Combs, but he never fully returned her feelings in the same way. Throughout their relationship, Diddy was still in love with his ex, Kim Porter, a truth that lingered over their time together. There were also rumors circulating about him being involved with other men in the music industry, further complicating things. In an interview, Diddy once admitted, "Jennifer, she's definitely a bad chick, but I was still in love with Kim. I couldn't marry Jennifer because I was still in love with Kim." Even though he had left Kim to be with Jennifer, his feelings for his ex never faded. Ultimately, Jennifer came to realize that the relationship wasn't going to work. She decided to end things for good, but by that point, Diddy didn't even take her seriously. They had fallen into such an unhealthy cycle of breaking up and getting back together that he couldn't believe it was really over this time. For Jennifer, walking away from this toxic relationship was the only way to heal and let go of the emotional turmoil she had been carrying. Despite everything, she made it clear that she still had love and care for Diddy, telling him, "You know I love you. You know that." But she knew that moving on was the best thing for her well-being. Let's fast forward to today. Diddy hasn't been charged criminally yet. Most of what we know comes from civil lawsuits. But what if he does end up facing criminal charges? Could Jennifer Lopez be called to testify against him? It's definitely possible. If a prosecutor were handling that case, they'd probably consider listing her as a witness. But the big question is whether she'd cooperate, and that could change how the case is approached during trial. Just because someone is listed as a potential witness doesn't mean they'll be called to the stand. Their testimony has to actually be beneficial. There is a scenario where J.Lo could be asked to testify, especially in relation to allegations of violence or Diddy's interactions with other artists. Several people have come forward accusing him of serious crimes, including human trafficking and sex trafficking. So, was Jennifer aware of any of this? Did she witness anything suspicious, like underage girls? Or was she present when certain videos were allegedly taken? Some of those videos, referenced in legal pleadings, have screenshots attached to them. The big questions are, how much did she know? When did she know it? And did it play a role in why they broke up? We just don't know right now. Law enforcement and prosecutors would need to interview her, get her statement, and figure out what she could potentially testify to before making any decisions. Melba points out that if J.Lo were to testify, it could bring out more questions about Diddy's alleged abuse. There have been claims of controlling behavior, and Lopez herself described their relationship as crazy and tumultuous during a 2019 interview with CBS Sunday Morning. She even said it ended with a bang. Allegations of abuse aren't uncommon in these situations. Women sometimes get caught up in legal trouble because of their partner's actions. This case might not be all that different, considering Lopez was involved in that infamous nightclub incident where a gun was found, and she passed it to Diddy. All of this could potentially come to light if she's called to testify. It's unfortunate, but not uncommon, to see situations where women get caught up in the legal system because they were trying to help or protect their partner. Often, they might think their actions are harmless or not fully understand the consequences, and then it spirals into a much bigger issue. It's a sad but familiar pattern. Take the incident involving Jennifer Lopez allegedly carrying a gun in 1999. That's particularly interesting because in Cassie Ventura's recent lawsuit, she also claimed that Diddy forced her to carry a gun. This suggests a disturbing pattern of control in his relationships. It seems like there's a connection between the two incidents, reinforcing the idea that he had a habit of making the women in his life do illegal things for him. Carrying an unregistered gun is a serious crime, regardless of state laws. And it raises the question, why couldn't Diddy handle this himself? As far as we know, he doesn't have a criminal record that would prevent him from legally carrying a weapon. Plus, with his wealth and resources, he could easily hire security. So why make the women in his life carry the gun for him? It points to a deeper issue of control and manipulation. It's really strange to think about, and it definitely points to a situation of control. Cassie coming forward with a similar story, decades after J.Lo, only adds more weight to the claims and raises even more questions about who Diddy truly is behind the public image he's maintained. Although no criminal charges have been filed against him yet, it feels like it's just a matter of time. Melba even said she believes charges are inevitable. I think criminal charges will be filed. There's no question in my mind. The only question is when. Federal investigations, especially, don't happen without rock-solid evidence. When the feds pursue a case, they won't press charges unless they have an extremely high chance of securing a conviction, backed by things like video footage, audio, surveillance, testimonies, and even social media evidence. Right now, it seems like they're in the process of gathering all these pieces, which takes time, especially when you're dealing with multiple states and possibly even international crimes, similar to what we saw with the Epstein case. So while charges might not be filed immediately, it does seem like it's only a matter of time before they come down. As this story continues to unfold, the question remains, how will it all play out, and what will the consequences be for Diddy and those involved? With so much evidence being gathered, the truth is bound to come to light eventually. What do you think about the situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this developing story. Stay tuned.